What's up, everyone? I'm here with the last video for the Great Guitar Build Off, but it is not going to be the last video of the series. It is late. I have almost ran out of time to get this video out, and I have admitted that I am not going to finish this guitar in time for the competition. However, that is not going to stop me from completing the series, or for that matter, completing the guitar. So, in the spirit of saving time, we do not have our guest commentators on today, so you'll get to listen to my boring commentary and my droning on about myself for the next little bit. So I apologize in advance. I know the conversation that we've been having in the previous videos has been a lot more engaging and a lot more interesting, and I've honestly had a lot of fun doing it. So I'm going to comment on what I am doing here. The location I'm at in these shots is the new workshop that I actually have moved to. I was actually doing a trial run here to see how I like the setup, see if it might work for me. And in the end, it is going to work for me, and I think it's going to work extremely well. I was actually kind of forced into it. I'm not going to go into all of the details, but I could not keep working on my porch, even though I would like to have continued doing that. However, this opportunity came up right as I was not able to work on the porch anymore. So everything just fell into place, and I'm very thankful for that. But that is also the reason you are not going to see a finished product at this point or at the end of this video. So it's a learning experience in so many different ways, and not even just with the guitar. But there is a big one. There's a big lesson I learned here that we get to see a little bit later in the video. So back to commentary on what's going on here. Lots of sanding. I had been working on the figuring out where the frets were supposed to go, so measuring all that out, marking them out, getting them ready to cut. You saw me starting to cut them there. Now we're sanding the guitar down. I believe this was to 320 grit. I can't remember off the top of my head. But we're basically getting the guitar ready for finish. Any holes that are missing, making sure everything is ready to go. I sped up a lot of footage this time around. That way we can fly through a lot of the boring parts. I also had some things that I wanted to bring up and mention in the commentary, but since we aren't doing that, I think some of these shots are going to go on a little bit longer than I would have preferred. But since this video needs to go out very shortly and it is late at night, we're just going to deal with what I've got. Alright, I'm placing the bridge, even though I've already drilled all the holes and everything, I'm placing the bridge to see how the carving is going to go here. I wanted to make sure that the keys and everything would go under the bridge just slightly. I didn't want them just kind of sitting out to where you couldn't, they had an edge that went up to the bridge. I don't think any of that makes sense, but hopefully it will once you see it. So rather than just chiseling, I cut very deeply with a razor blade first, and then I slowly chiseled down. Used a hammer a lot here, taking out the material. Basically, I wanted to make sure that there was no way that anything was tearing out outside of the lines that I marked. So razor blade was extremely important there. I've used it in other scenarios before too, and I found I just have to go a bit deeper just to make sure that if I'm chiseling away and I go in a little bit deeper, that I don't accidentally end up taking out more material, which can happen. So very, very careful here. It was actually a lot of fun chiseling this out, to be perfectly honest. And having cut that deep, it really wasn't that scary. Alright, we're going to speed up here to what it looked like real time. So I was not hammering away very fast or very powerful, very small strokes, just lightly going under the wood. Do not want to take this too far. There's no reason to hurry here. When you hurry, you think you're saving time, and then you often find out that you mess something up and it takes even more time to fix it, which is something I did later in the video. So the idea here was to leave the black keys of the piano on uncarved, and I was going to stain them, which you see right there. In the end, it didn't really matter that I stained them here. I ended up staining them again because when I sanded everything down, some of the stain came off. But now I'm ready for inlay material. That is mother of pearl and lots of CA glue. And I've got a nice little bit of masking tape on my finger there so that I don't get everything stuck to my finger. Lots of mother of pearl. Fill it in first from the bottom, and then I poured a bunch of CA glue on the top once I got it all nice and packed in. This is probably one of the best inlay jobs that I have ever done. One nice thing about it is because I had such a large area that needed to be covered, it made it pretty easy to pack it in. And there you see me sanding it. I started sanding in the guitar a little bit, so I realized I should use a better sanding block. And then I realized that wasn't going fast enough, so we got the orbital sander out to do the majority of the work. And this is where I noticed that some of the stain was coming off on the black keys, because it wasn't perfectly even. But that's okay. I can just go back in, restain them. There you can see where the stain got sanded off. For the lines in between the piano keys, I am carving out with a blade where the other inlay material is going to go. This is a slow process. I use a ruler to make it straight, and just did small cuts at a time, very carefully. This is now you see a fast version. I think I did this 10 times the speed of carving out the hand. This is also going to be inlaid, and you can also see the dark spots. That is sweat. It was a hot day out. Most days outside are hot around here, especially now. So yeah, this took quite a while. Reason I carved this out after doing the piano was so that I could get the relation, the size of the hand relative to the piano about the way I wanted it, And then also, because I'm doing the lines for the piano keys, I'm inlaying that with a black material. The hand was also going to be inlaid with black, so I was just going to do everything at once. And there you see it carved out, ready for inlay material. It's crazy going back and seeing it before it's stained and everything, what it looked like. So that's some inlay material that I had purchased. This is really my first time using it. I should have tried breaking it up more before I tapped it out of the container, but everything worked fine. And here's the point where I kind of realized, I don't know, somewhere here, I realized I wasn't wearing gloves, and as you can see on my hand there, I have inlay material in there. I should have been wearing gloves for this entire part. Yep, and didn't use the masking tape either that I showed you in the previous scenes to keep that off of me. So yeah, naturally I got a bunch of super glue on me, but there I am just rubbing it in without without anything on my fingers. Yeah, it didn't matter how much I scrubbed it. It did not all come off. Well, it eventually did, but not right then. Now night has fallen. I'm putting the stain back on from where everything had sanded off. And we're putting more glue on. I think I'm doing some touch-ups there actually. Some little parts didn't get filled. Now it's time for stain. So I ended up staining this a couple times, like I tend to do apparently in all of my projects. Whenever I stain stuff, something goes wrong the first time, whether it's me not knowing the right pattern, not mixing them together right. Here, I think there was an issue where I thought I sanded everything nice, and you didn't see anything on the back until you start putting stain on. There was still a little bit of glue back there from when I had jointed the wood. So because of that, there was kind of a line, and it's in the middle there. I don't know if you can really see it on the screen, but it caused me to sand the whole thing back to get rid of that. So I had to restain. But maybe that's my thing. And there's some real-time footage of the staining. Usually you want to do black first. Well, I mean, it depends what you're trying to do. I did black first and then layered over the red and the purple. And then there were some sections I went back and added black to the top of it. Used lots of water to kind of blend some sections. Wanted everything to feel like it kind of flowed together with the colors that I was using. And right there, I did a lot of red around the pickup because I felt like the red was going to pop with the inlays, the bright inlays. And I covered the inlays there with masking tape, and you can see what it looks like from the front. and the back. I don't think I showed the mess up on the stain the first time, but anyways, now we get to see the real failure. So I'm thinning out the fretboard here. All of this is going fine. I'm doing the radiusing there. That is going fine. Yeah, it took a while. It was tedious, but the radius went in fine. Felt like the fretboard might be a little thin, but I wasn't too concerned. It's nice hardwood. We're using maple. And more angles of radiusing. It took quite a while. Measuring out where the fretboard was supposed to go, the little locator pins, in this case nails, just going in right where the 1st and the 23rd fret are. Putting the masking tape on to protect the truss rod from the glue. Here the glue was drying basically as soon as I put it on, and I had to put even more on just to try to get that off, just so that it had some sort of wet surface to stick to. But that's how dry it is here. I didn't even get the glue put on before it was already drying. That was one problem. I thought I was fine. I thought I got rid of all the gaps. I thought there wasn't going to be a gap. There was a gap in between the fretboard and the neck in multiple spots. It did not look good. So, after that cured, I then proceeded to learn how to remove a fretboard from a neck. And I did not want to redo all of this. I was hoping at least the neck could be saved, maybe the fretboard. I'm using acetone right there, spraying a bunch on, super thin, flexible scraper, going in between, just slowly hammering it. Lots of acetone, just keep spraying it. The fretboard came out curved in the end, and it tore out at the very end, but it's okay. I was able to sand it. I was able to use glue and sawdust and put everything together. That is basically the mistake that prevented me from finishing, besides the workshop moving. So I tried rushing the neck. I thought it was going to go on straight. I thought it was going to be okay. It wasn't. So lesson here, take your time. Deadlines, when you're trying to make something creative, deadlines can be pushed back.